The World of Outlaws pick up a 17-year-old rookie. We'll preview USAC midgets at Merced, plus talk Donny Schatz, schedule releases, track GMs, pick and choose versus series, and if Bobby Pierce would have responded differently to the Brandon Overton run-in had he not been the Longhorn house car driver. Let's go. It's Thursday, November 20th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. Your dirt racing viewing options are getting fewer and further between as we head towards the off-season, but one place you can still catch some action this weekend is Flow Racing. They've got USAC midgets from Merced Friday and Saturday, plus midgets next week as well. If you want to tune in and you don't have a Flow subscription, head over to DIRTRACKR.com/FlowRacing and sign up. If you get in now, you'll get the races I just mentioned, plus the Dome in December, the Lucas Banquet, High Limit in Australia, and the Tulsa Shootout and Chili Bowl. And then you'll be ready to roll straight into the 2026 dirt racing season. I've been a paid Flow Racing subscriber myself for a really long time. I've got the app on my Roku. I check it out on my phone. I use the website pretty regularly. So if you want to join me and thousands of your dirt racing friends, that's DIRTRACKR.com/FlowRacing. We had breaking dirt late model news here just a little bit ago with the World of Outlaws late model series announcing their first rookie competitor for 2026. 17-year-old Florida driver Trey Mills will hit the road with the Outlaws next year in search of the Rookie of the Year award. 17 might seem young, but Mills has been driving late models since he was 11 and was the 604 track champion at Alltech in 2020. This year, running a full schedule of super late models, he made 62 starts and had wins with the Summer Nationals, the Southern Thunder Series, and the Comp Cam Series. That Summer Nationals win came in the Herald and Review 100 at Macon. Since 2022, he's appeared with the Outlaws 19 times with a best finish of 10th at Talladega back in April. He was also third in a Talladega prelim feature in 2024. He's also got 12 Lucas appearances on his resume. When you look around at young prospects in dirt late model racing, Mills has to be pretty high on that list. He's already gone toe-to-toe with the Southeast best and won. He topped Brandon Shepard at Macon with that Hell Tour victory. He's made plenty of features and had good runs on tours. 50-plus races next year against a group like the Outlaws will come with a steep learning curve, but I like the potential here. More rookies are expected with the Outlaws, in the series posted to social media earlier. They are, quote, in for another stacked Rookie of the Year class in 2026. The Outlaw season starts at Volusia for the Sunshine Nationals late next January. Jumping into some Patreon and channel member questions from recent days. I realize I missed a few from last week, so I want to make sure I cover off on those as well. Doug Ripperger asked if there were any more updates on Donny Schatz for next year, and the answer to that is just not really. Things have gone pretty quiet on any new information, but I would fully expect him to be in a car next year and likely full-time with the Outlaws. I think it's possible he could start the year maybe with one team and then switch a little bit into the season. And I know the big game motorsports thing has been kind of going around for a long time, but I'm not ready yet to completely say that's off the table. But outside of that, and maybe some sort of continued deal with size, I have not heard any other teams mentioned in connection to Schatz. Ryan Showalter had two questions. The first was in regard to the World of Outlaws late model schedule release and the silly video that my guy Ross Weiss put together last week. He wanted to know my take on those kind of unique announcements. As someone who used to be right in the middle of social media shenanigans years ago at World Racing Group, I'm all for them. Racing's supposed to be a fun pastime, and too often folks, I think, try to be too serious, too buttoned up. I'd much rather things were more fun like this video, so big stamp of approval from me. His other question said in part, quote, Lakeside Speedway is getting a new GM again. This is not uncommon in the industry, but I'm curious the ripple effects of track leadership changes and the series that attend / no longer attend these facilities, unquote. I think just like anything else, racing is a business built on relationships, and people bring to these jobs whatever they've created or destroyed in the past. And take Mansfield, for example. We've been kind of following them here recently. That was a track that wasn't previously part of the World of Outlaws calendar in its kind of previous iteration, but Matt Tifft comes in and gets those deals done. So now Outlaw races on that schedule, both late models and sprint cars. Or if you want to consider a place like Skagit Speedway. Kevin Rudine, John Hager get control, and then High Limit becomes a series, and now the Skagit Nationals goes from an Outlaw event to High Limit. Those managers and promoters and GMs, they've got a big impact on what races get scheduled. Lakeside got 2 high limit shows for 2026, and the old GM sticking around to help with a transition for the new GM, I think should secure all of that. But for 2027, that new GM will have work to do to continue that relationship. Up next, Tim asked, quote, do we think Bobby, meaning Pierce, would have been as polite and respectful about the Overton incident if Brandon was not in the Longhorn house car, unquote. Tim went on to say that he certainly doesn't believe so, but I think that has more to do with who it was and not the chassis builder. I'm sure there's a group of drivers that Pierce would have responded to the way he did with Overton, but I also think that there are others, and likely some in Longhorns, that it would have gone differently. To me, I think it's more about, and again, we talk about relationships and past dealings, than it is about it being a Longhorn driver. Pierce is a top guy, Overton's right up there, and I think there is at least some mutual respect. I believe as well that once they climb in and put the helmets on, there are just no teammates out there. So I think this has a lot more to do with just kind of relationships and who these guys are versus what chassis they're driving. And finally, from Jeremy on Patreon, he asked, quote, how come sprint car guys will go pick and choose and it's always considered normal, whereas the late models, it's like a big deal if it will be Lucas or Wu, unquote, meaning the World of Outlaws. We've certainly seen plenty of pick and choose dirt late model drivers in the past, and I think kind of the most notable one here recently this season is probably Tyler Erb. But it's not like we haven't seen Jonathan Davenport or Brandon Overton do it. I think, though, the structure of the two divisions nationally just kind of makes the whole thing different. In sprint car racing, you can still run locally and regionally. You think about like a guy like Anthony Macri does, and you can still survive financially. You have to win a lot for it to make sense, but remember Macri, he can race for big money not far from his shop and sleep in his own bed at night, and that obviously helps keep costs down. And he's capable, obviously, as we saw this year, of winning on the biggest stages just about anywhere in the country. With dirt late model racing, I think it's a bit tougher to do that. I think some guys can make it work in the Southeast, but a lot of others who are technically full-time racers are tied to a series. Even think about a guy like Jason Fager. He runs Mars in a big portion of the Summer Nationals. The added cash available from a series really helps those teams pay those bills. The lack of exclusivity, I think, also plays a part here. The Lucas and Outlaw schedules in late model racing are much smaller when you compare them to a 90-ish race slate for the World of Outlaws sprint cars. Most of the late model teams run way more than the 50 or 60 series races that get scheduled. Brandon Shepard, for example, is at 111 races this season. No sprint car driver has even 85. Thanks everybody, though, for the questions and the topics. If you want to participate in the future, this is a perk for Patreon members and YouTube channel members. As I mentioned off the top, the USAC midgets continue their California trip with 2 nights coming up at Merced Friday and Saturday. The Friday show, it was originally scheduled for the Tulare Thunderbolt, but it's been canceled, and Merced got a second night out of the situation. It's been a tough trip so far, with weather losing 1 of 2 nights at Placerville for the Hangtown 100. They lost Plaza Park earlier this week. But with Merced getting this extra night, that takes us back to 4 races left to go in the USAC midget season. After Merced, it's Kern in Bakersfield, California next Tuesday. Then the season ends at Ventura a week from Saturday for Turkey Night. The last time the midgets were on track, Dazen Pursley was getting booed heavily for crashing Kyle Larson at the end of the Hangtown 100. I was only going to be curious to see if those boos continue the next 4 races with Pursley running the Chad Boat 86 all 4 nights here in Kyle Larson's home state of California. Besides the USAC regulars, other drivers to watch at Merced include Corey Day back in the Willie Kane machine after that nasty crash at Placerville. Carson Macedo's racing, NASCAR driver Ty Gibbs, Buddy Kofoid, and more. Things are tight at the top for the championship. Cannon McIntosh leads Justin Grant by just 3 points. Kevin Thomas Jr., he slipped to 70 points back, and early trouble at Placerville for Extreme Midget champ Jacob Denny sees him now 97 points behind. I've got race results in the DIRTRACKR.com/analytics database for USAC at Merced going back to 2020. 10 races with wins coming from Thomas Meserol, Tanner Thorson, Justin Grant, Buddy Kofoid, Carson Macedo, Spencer Baston, Logan Seavey, Kyle Larson, and Corey Day. Kofoid is the only driver in that span with multiple wins. Kofoid also has the best average finish of any driver, sitting at 3.1. If you can't get to the track, like I said earlier, watch it live over on Flow Racing. If you're looking for late model racing this weekend, you do have a few options. Need more? They've got Crate Racing USA 604s for $10,000 to win. There's also Supers at Pike County in Mississippi Friday and Saturday. By the way, Magnolia Motor Speedway, not in Magnolia, Mississippi. It's in Columbus, I believe, Mississippi. And Pike County is in Magnolia, Mississippi, so that's confusing. Anyway, I saw the Hunt the Front guys decided to hit that one up at Pike County before they get ready for the Dome. I think I saw as well Clay Stuckey headed that direction. You can also catch regional action at Lakeview and Livonia, and Carolina Clash will be at Livonia on Sunday to end their season. That's it for the Daily Show this week. Thanks, as always, for tuning in and supporting what we do here. Hope you guys have a great Thursday and a great weekend out there. We'll see you right back here on Sunday.